Hey everybody, it's Clint Powell, and today's episode is brought to you by two great sponsors. One is my friends at JB Millworks. Jeremy Price and his staff do wonderful work. I'm going to tell you how to get a hold of them first. jbmillworks.com, or you can call them at 706-965-6940. And then I'm going to tell you why. You ready? They have great products. They have doors, they have stair parts, trim work, anything you're wanting for remodel or new construction. But they also have beautiful plantation shutters. Make your house look gorgeous. And high quality, energy saving, gorgeous, beautiful sun-clad windows. I know a little bit about sun-clad windows. I know the owner of the company, Frank Anderson, and I'm telling you right now, if you have a home and you're wanting to get the best of both worlds, high energy savings and yet a beautiful wood look on the interior, it is gorgeous inside and outside wood-clad windows from Sun Windows. jbmillworks.com or 706-965-6940. Also, a sponsor of today's episode is Lori Monteith with Keller Williams, or as she is known on Facebook and Google, Team Monteith. Lori started in the real estate industry back when everybody was getting out of it with the great economic downturn. She made the most of it. She pulled through. She does business the right way. And in a world where there's all these multiple offers, houses are not staying on the market long, you're wanting to move or you're wanting to sell, you need someone who has a track record of getting things done. Find out more about her. Team Monteith is on Facebook. You can also Google Lori Monteith, but you can call them at 315-0042, 423-315-0042, or you can find out more at findchattanoogarealestate.com. Enjoy today's episode. Hey folks, Clint Powell here. This is During the Break. Let's do this. Hey, welcome to During the Break podcast. Thanks for finding us. Rate us, review us, share us. And I say that, to be honest with you, all the time. If you like the podcast, and even if you don't, it just feels good to help people. Just help me. You could say that's the worst podcast ever, but that kid's got, that guy's got family. He's got kids to feed. So rate and review our podcast. I'm Clint Powell, and I do this all the time. I love talking with folks. Some of these I do by myself. I call that my cheap therapy. It's much cheaper to get on here and get it out of my head than pay for somebody that's a professional. But today, I get to talk with somebody I actually met on another podcast. I do a podcast with a buddy of mine named Dawson Wheeler, who used to own Rock Creek Outfitters. The name of that podcast is Day Fire Podcast, and it's where we talk about all the stuff going on outside. Paddling, kayaking, climbing, camping, hiking, whatever. So Dawson got this guy on, and at the time, I got to be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed. At the time, he had this great beard. Now he's got a beard kind of like mine, and I've got a beard. But I met this guy, he had this energy, he has a great story, and immediately I thought, since I like interviewing personalities and energy during the break, I'd love to get him on this podcast. And he's been gracious enough to swing back in. Richard Rhett. How you doing, man?
Excited. Clint, thanks for having me on, man.
I'm making sure your levels are good. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are there listening out in that electronic, beautiful world, give this man a review. He deserves it. He's earned it. Give him a thumbs up and a review.
Let me tell you, you're hitting the sympathy chord when your guests are like, for the love of God,
just give him a review, please.
Somebody do something so this guy can move on.
Such a small little thing. There's a lot of people that tune in to. I can very much confess to this. A lot of people tune in and don't they get a lot of value out of something, but then it's just easy to get to the next thing and keep going. Take a moment right now and just go give this man a little review. That'll mean the world. It's a small effort on your part for a monumental effort that he's putting in on a consistent basis to bring this value to you.
Well, I appreciate that. And I post this on social media, bigger picture. I think sometimes we underestimate the actions that we can take just in life that mean a lot. A text to somebody, just, hey, ain't talked to you in a while, or somebody does something where the company you own, just saying, great job.
Yeah.
They may not expect it, and it may take 10 seconds of your life, but that may change their day.
Exactly.
You just don't know.
Small little acts of kindness.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the world right now, I think, could use some small acts of kindness.
Yeah. It'd do us all a little good.
Yeah. Let's be cheesy. The waterfalls we enjoy isn't one just big drop of water. It all starts somewhere, man.
That's right.
It all starts somewhere. All right, so you own a company called, and I'm looking at your hat, Sierra Madre.
That's right, Sierra Madre.
And what do you do at Sierra Madre? And I learned this from the Dayfire podcast. If I say the word hammocks, I get throat punched. But you sell stuff.
Yeah, so we build outdoor equipment. Our goal in life is to provide comfort and protection for people that are going out into the wild. A lot of times people will have an experience with the wild that leaves them a little frustrated. Maybe they get rained out. Maybe they don't sleep through the night. Our goal is to take all of those fears away and get you into the wild, comfort and protection. So we build outdoor camping equipment that enables you to go out and experience the wild like never before, baby.
Well, and the cool thing is, and I didn't know where to start, or I know where to start, but I was thinking about it beforehand of what point to jump off, because your story is so cool. And I don't want to just replicate the Dayfire podcast, but do me this favor. Take everybody back, because if I'm not mistaken, there's several chapters to the book that you've written so far. There's your genesis of, you're an engineer, but there's this genesis of this sleeping gear you started to create that came from a trip you were on.
Right.
And then there's also this giving back to the community, to the world you live in, that also came from this trip you went on.
Yeah, that's right.
So those are two important chapters. There is no Shark Tank. There really, I mean, there's none of these other things if that doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So tell everybody about that trip and where all it came from.
Sure. That trip was back when I was still a young lad, I would say, about a year out of college, 2009. I went down to Honduras. At that point, I was hitting my stride as an engineer, taking on big projects. But, you know, I got an offer that I couldn't refuse, and that was, you want to go down in the middle of nowhere in Honduras and you know, do some hard stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it. So I go down there not really knowing what to expect. And what ends up happening is that I encounter a life that I had never seen before, or even touched or experienced in any way. I saw people that lived with dirt floors, people that they had to spend 90% of their day worrying about their basics, like their bare necessities. Clean water and food. Those are the two. And then, does my roof leak? And then what do I do to go make a little money? Like, that's the order.
Our days are so backward here. You know what I'm saying? Listening to you,
very different.
We get up and we don't think about our water or our food. We just, where's the money?
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, as I'm on this trip, I'm camping. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're in the bush. I'm camping. We're having to boil our water, everything we drink. We got some filters that we brought. And so it's a hassle. Like, you don't realize how much time it takes to get that basic necessity taken care of. While I'm on that trip, I experienced this terrible outdoor camping product that later is what spurred me on to start creating our air camp.
You're equipment. Relatively tall. You're a tall fella.
I am. Yeah. 6'2". So that was part of the challenge. I think most camping equipment seems to be centered around people. I think average height at that point was like 5'9.5", 5'10". So centered around
somebody
that.
around my height.
Yeah.
It's okay to say short. You're looking at me with those sad eyes.
No, man. This is just
well, but I mean,
sick.
yeah, but you go in this, and we can, you know, you can take it over when you want to, but it's important. You go to bed at night, you try to sleep, and yes, there's enough material, right? It's long enough.
Yeah, sure.
But it's not, the engineering gets frustrated.
Yeah. So there were deficiencies, and they were pretty clear to me immediately. Now, the basics of what was wrong was that particular hammock was so small that I wasn't able to turn sideways and get as flat as I would like. And so I was sleeping kind of like a banana. And I think that's one challenge that a lot of people face when they first get into hammock camping. We call it air camping. That's our term. When you first get into that, you have the tendency to want to sleep straight with the hammock. But the real trick is to get diagonal, and that allows you to lay flat.
Okay.
So that kind of started the company. I mean, that one problem of me not being able to sleep well transpired into me getting wet. My hammock ends got wet because I was using a tarp that was too small. Though it was designed for that product, it just poorly designed.
Right.
So comfortable sleep, staying dry became my battle cry.
You started sleeping in soup, right?
Yeah. As soon as your ends get wet, you're wet. So everything's ruined then.
Yeah.
And you're not having a very good trip if your only means of sleeping are completely soaked.
Well, you get up and you've got to boil your water. It's not like you're getting up to the comforts. I'll just get my strength throughout the day.
Exactly. Yeah. You're supposed to rest at night, and then you work hard during the day to get things done.
So let's talk a little more about that trip, and we'll kind of put a pin in the sleeping apparatus and how that spurred the company. But the part that I found interesting about the story was something else kind of played on you.
Yeah. So as soon as we got into the midst of this, we had about 1,000 people circulating through our little doctor camp.
Okay.
So we had 2 medical doctors, several nurses, and about 1,000 people came through. I was helping one of the doctors do triage, and what he said to me was pretty striking. He said, "Richard, 80% of these people wouldn't be here if they had clean drinking water."
Wow.
The illnesses that they're seeing of these 800 people, they're minor compared to what, minor in the sense that you would never even think about this because you don't get giardia, you don't get dysentery,
parasites or whatever.
You're not
in the water.
living in this.
Yeah.
These people are living with it, and that one simple thing completely could change the way they live and the basis of how they do life. And so that was a real eye-opening experience for me.
What, did you know you wanted to do something at that time, or was it just one of those things you said, well, this sucks?
Yeah, exactly. It sucked.
Yeah.
And that was my thought. I mean, I didn't have a clue. I'm a problem solver for sure. And so on the plane ride home, I was kind of cultivating those 2 issues that I saw and I dealt with. And it was really 2 problems that I was convinced that I could do something about. And so that started it.
So you come back home. How long before you started?
I think I bought a sewing machine a month and a half later.
Yeah, because I remember when we were talking with Dawson, you start off like every entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Meager, lots of intentions, lots of damn it moments where you go, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
So you bought a sewing machine and you start sewing material. Is it the materials you started with then, or the materials now, or was it simple design?
Far cry. Yeah. So I got my hands on whatever I could, and I just started building and testing. What did I want? What did I really need it to do? How could I get it light? How could I get it comfortable? I probably made 30 or 40 prototypes that they sucked and I was not happy with, and they looked terrible. But, I was learning. I was developing a skill. I was developing an idea of how fabrics work and what you can do and what you can't do. That helped a lot. But it was trial by fire for sure in the beginning.
You loved, and when you walked in, because we didn't get as much time to talk when you came in for Day Fire, but when you walked a minute ago, you were telling me how you love business.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about some of your products, and we're going to come back to the giving back part of it. We might wrap it up with that because I think that's a good way. We need that good feel moment, that feel good moment.
Sure.
What do you like about the business side of it so much?
Yeah. So business is a newfound love of mine. I don't think I started off wanting to be a businessman.
What did you start off wanting to be?
I wanted to solve a problem. I didn't know what that meant. I wanted to be a designer, I think. I think when I was a child, I would constantly make some ridiculous thing and give it to my mom and say, like, here's what it does, Mom. And, so I have an invention bone in my body. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really where I started. And then it's taken root and grown. That little business seed has grown into a real passion of trying to figure out the game of business. When I look at business, I see it as a symphony. And when a couple of things start lining up, you can really gain some serious traction. But at the same time, when those couple of things are just a little out of tune, there's some massive headaches that you're going to endure.
And the thing, and we talked about this, I've owned a couple of small businesses, nothing on your scale. But the thing about business is if you don't really watch it, by the time you realize something's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not just that one thing usually.
Right.
Because it truly is the domino effect.
Absolutely.
This little problem may not be little to the people that are around it, but to the business owner, it's a big deal because they don't see it affects delivery. They don't see it affects how long the product lasts.
Yeah.
They just see this moment.
Exactly.
And it sounds to me, though, like engineering's kind of fixing problems.
It does.
Right?
Yeah,
so it seems like you're feeding the beast still.
The background really is helpful. What I had to learn how to do was step out of perfection. As an engineer, perfection is God, right? I mean, in the most ridiculous way you can say it, like you focus on perfection. Like you make sure it is impossible for this to fail. But when you're in business, you got to move faster than that. And you've got to make decisions that basically align towards a center that is as close as you can get to perfection without going out of business.
Yeah. It's almost controlled falling.
Right.
Controlled failure.
It is.
You know?
You're literally assembling a rocket while you're falling to Earth.
Yes,
and you've got to somehow get fuel into that thing and get it back up into the air.
You just made me think of the old cartoons where somebody, like the Wile E. Coyote would be falling and he's building.
Oh, yeah. He's building on the way down.
And then when
Build
he hits
fast, baby.
Absolutely. The trampoline, boing, it points him back up.
It's so true.
It's
so true.
It is true. And so you come back home, you start developing these products. When did you know you were on to something? Or did you have, there's entrepreneurs that go, I think I'm onto something.
Yeah.
And they go for it and they get, because failure's part of it. Or did you know you were onto something from the get-go?
Yeah, it's a good question. That I have an interesting take on that. I'm a stubborn person, and I don't take no as an answer. And so the way I looked at this business,
good and bad.
Yeah, it is. There's definitely some bad there. The way I looked at this business was, okay, Richard, there are outdoor companies. They do make money. There is no reason why you cannot.
Yeah.
And so I took the approach of, it's absolutely inexcusable for you to fail, Richard. There are minor failures as you go. Of course, we've had a lot. But if you can pivot fast and you know your numbers from a financial standpoint, you're able to make and navigate hard decisions that allow you to continue breathing. And you just go to zero and you pull back up, and you go to zero and you pull back up.
But haven't you found that the more, and entrepreneurs, every entrepreneur I know, including myself, has weak spots. Like, maybe numbers, it may be the design, it may be details, it may be creative.
Sure.
You have some strengths, you have some weaknesses.
100%.
But what I have found is most successful entrepreneurs, let me see if I can rephrase this. Making fast decisions is part of business.
Sure.
How many times have you heard people going, well, you don't want to make rash decisions? Most entrepreneurship is rash decisions.
It is rash.
But I think if you stay informed, you know your numbers, you know your weaknesses, then it allows you to make fast decisions with a little bit of education behind it.
Exactly.
So it may not be a bad decision. Just because I've told people before, fast doesn't mean bad or good.
For sure.
It can just be fast.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the key. I mean, making fast decisions with very little data, that's an engineer's worst nightmare. Like, you want data when you're, and so I had to create two personalities. That sounds really strange, but I had to create the business, the engineer.
Oh, your wife already knows. You've got at least four,
my
right?
wife, my poor wife, good grief.
So you created the engineer and the business?
Yeah. The business side of like, you have to be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to fail.
I just wrote that down.
Yeah.
Let me jump in and ask you this. How many great ideas have come from your failures? How many times have you failed and gone, man, that really taught me something?
Yeah.
And it may not
we've had 3 big flops, 3 big failures. What I would say big. One of them should have put us out of business.
Ooh.
Yeah. One of them should have put us out of business. I made some decisions early on when I was very young that I could help. I tried to help more people than the business could support. So when we first started, we launched a manufacturing facility in Nicaragua, and we ran that for 3 years. We had 46 employees. It was a big expense. We were making all of our products. It had the ability to scale if we had a whole lot of capital. But I got out of sync with what was priority.
Yeah.
And it started sucking all of our cash out. And it was really hard to let 46 people go in one day.
Oh.
Shut the whole thing down. But it was the decision that had to be made. We lost some money, but if we wouldn't have made that decision, that hard decision, we wouldn't have learned where we need to be and where our business needs to be, what's priority, which is not being a manufacturer. It's becoming a brand, a worldwide brand.
You're a creator.
Exactly.
You're a designer. You're a creator.
We got to partner
problem solver.
We got to partner with the best in the industry to make our whole dream.
But because that's what they do.
Exactly.
They're good at that. And you just mentioned a problem though that I think the majority of entrepreneurs either will face or have faced, and that is sometimes we want to go too fast.
It's true.
Momentum's a great thing unless it's just downhill out of control.
It's true.
And by the time you look up, and that's a terrible feeling. I've had to do stuff like that in the past. And I don't think there's a worse feeling in the world knowing I don't mind problems. Problems to me are an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. For you.
Well, and they can be an opportunity for the company, right?
Sure.
Problems are okay.
But that's what you see them as.
Yeah, I hate the problems, though, that I did based off faulty decision making.
Yeah. Yeah.
That hurt.
Or when you create problems for somebody else.
That's what I'm saying.
Like when you create their problem, that's a bad day for you.
It's a bad day. A bad night.
Yeah.
Bad day the next day.
It's true.
But so the other two problems, other two failures, is something that you learn from those, or are they just failures in general?
Yeah, just hiring friends. Like I made mistakes in the beginning of trying to make it work with friends, and now seeing and some people can. Yeah. I've just learned my weaknesses, and I know that I can't. And so, several other little things like that just kind of add up into, okay, that's how I make that decision in the future. Yeah,
hiring friends is tough, man.
Because
they know you on a certain level.
It's
and
true.
Then when you bring them in and you have standards, expectations of them, they're like, "What's up, man?"
Yeah, dude, I thought we were friends.
What's up? Just chill.
Yeah.
Chill. Dude, I'm making money over here.
It's just hard. Yeah.
It's tough.
It's hard. Yeah. So I've learned what I need to avoid in some aspects of that.
Hey, folks, don't forget this episode is brought to you by JB Millworks, jbmillworks.com. What do you see your weaknesses being as the business owner, since you're a business, a steward of business now, when you're looking at yourself?
One of my big weaknesses that I've been working really hard on, and a lot of people say don't work on your weaknesses. I can't help myself sometimes. I don't focus on things I can't improve, but this is one I can improve. And that is tethering a form of reality to your dream. So you can dream super audacious goals. In fact, we have 2 big, hairy, audacious goals for the company. But if you don't tether those with a respect and a reality, then you will not be able to accomplish those goals. And so early on, I had the ability to dream big, but I had no idea the clarity that I needed to start making steps in how you reverse engineer that dream, that success.
Start with end in mind, work backwards.
Exactly.
Type thing.
Exactly.
And I found, for me at least, because I don't know if it's a gift or a curse, I'm pretty familiar with my weaknesses.
Yeah.
I have found it's very important to put people around me that do 2 things. 1, have different skill sets than me, and 2, I've given them permission to tell me no.
Yeah.
And if I get my ego, and I can always tell when things are going good because I'm usually getting pushback from everywhere. When things are going bad, that means when people are quiet, I've usually shut them up,
hard,
and I've pushed them quiet, and I'm about to screw up.
Yeah,
and
that's good advice
for me.
There. Yeah,
and so I think the team around you is tough. You got to assemble a good group, man.
That's number one, and that's my number one right now. So I'm transitioning into what it means to be, a CEO of a small company now, rather than just a technician that's turning wrenches. That's the transition I've been making for the last 12 months, and learning how to be a leader, learning how to develop a team that does the work, and you show them where we're going. That's a hard thing.
I said this to you when you were on Dayfire. It is hard to translate or to describe your vision to someone else.
Oh yeah,
and that's why people that end up going with you have to believe in you. They may or may not see the vision.
Yeah,
they just have to go.
Yeah,
dude, that guy's all in. I'm all in.
Yeah,
that's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and there's so much uncertainty. You don't. Here's what's so crazy, man, is every other day you'll have this high moment. And then you'll have this crap. We're going bankrupt. Like we're done. Like it's just this emotional roller coaster that just doesn't stop. And it's fun, and you learn to live with it. Like you learn to recognize that voice, and you learn how to turn it down and not let it get too loud.
And maybe make the gaps not so big.
Exactly.
The ups and downs are still there.
Yeah.
But it's not pinging off the ceiling and the roof. What's the one thing right now, if you looked at your business, and you may have just mentioned it, that could control the gap between the highs and the lows a little more for you?
That's a good question. The biggest challenge we're facing right now is, and we've been facing this from the beginning, is manufacturing. Our
speed, quality.
Speed.
Is it
100%
really?
speed. So the industry in general moves very slow. The outdoor industry in general usually is about 18 months behind. So when they want to launch a new product, it takes them 18 months to get it into the industry.
From conception or from, wow.
Yeah. And so we're like 3 months. Like, we're like, dude, we're going to put this thing on Kickstarter. Like, we make the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
We make the idea. We get it to a marketable state. We're going to throw this thing on Kickstarter. And if it sells, we're making it. And then as soon as we made it, it's time to make it, man. It's time to make 10,000 of those things. And so that mentality, it's a new business model, basically. And I've had to come to grips with that. That's been challenging.
You say speed. So in your world, though, you go from conception to design to product built, right? And you want it to be going to Kickstarter, and you want it to be going to the consumer how fast?
I'd love if we could get it in 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right now, where are you?
Well,
Is it still at the
we're about
company
a year.
stand?
We're about a year right now.
So you're better than the ballpark average.
Right. We're definitely better. It's just now that last 50% is turning this Titanic ship of culture that is so set in their ways.
See, like, my brain, I'm just thinking, if I'm going to a manufacturer, it's third party, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to you're outsourcing it, and they can't meet that. I don't know. I guess in my brain, I would have thought, usually the guy with the money, dictates
makes the rules,
the golden rule. That doesn't sound like that's the case right here.
No.
Are you tempted to get back in the manufacturing side of it?
I'm very much refraining. I would love to find I would love to find a way to like make some type of a strategic partnership.
Yeah.
And I think that's really my roadmap is how do I show these guys that I need to work with value over an entire year and not just these little bursts. So if I can somehow give them some steady revenue, rather than this big, huge lump here, and then it's dry for 3 months, and then this big, huge lump here, then I think we might have something. But it's a new business model. It's not been done.
Are
in
they
that
delayed?
sector.
Are they delayed in the manufacturing side of it because of equipment, supply of the materials, or is it just you're the fourth on the list of people that have?
Yeah. So there's only so much capacity, and everybody. So we are outside of the retail sector.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can operate a little bit differently on the schedule of everybody else, which gives us a little bit of an advantage. But the whole world operates in a high season for about 9 months in manufacturing in this world, and then a low season. And so that low season is our opportunity to move fast. But that high season, they're just slammed, and they can't get anybody else in, and so it's a hard.
Listeners are hearing me go on about manufacturing, but I'm kind of like you, though. I like figuring out problems.
Sure.
I'm like, man, maybe we can.
Yeah,
maybe there's something we can sit here and talk through.
Yeah.
So you come back, you practice with your showing machine, you go through all these designs, you kind of realize you're onto something, and you kind of fast forward now. And I'm going to move a little quick through some of this because the story is that we may have to do more than one podcast. But you go through. At what point did you made mistakes, made some successes? Did you go to the Shark Tank?
Yeah.
At what point in time in the company's timeline?
Shark Tank was in end of 2017.
Okay, so
end of 2017. So
and when did you start? When did the company?
So we sold our first product in 13.
Okay,
Yeah.
I tell you what, let's back up.
Sure.
We'll talk to Shark Tank in a minute.
All right.
I want to talk about Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Because
that's where we launched.
Yeah, that's what I was. So is what is Kickstarter? And why in the world did you choose it? Yeah.
We Kickstarter is a platform where people can bring ideas to life. That's the platform. It enables an entrepreneur to have an idea, take it to a prototype level, depending on, you define what that is.
Right.
And then present it to the world in some ways. There's 33 million people that log on Kickstarter every month. And try and sell it. And if you are successful, then you wind up getting funding to do your initial run of production, whatever it may be. We leverage Kickstarter. Well, first we kind of did it by accident. We were like, we'll try this. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. We're going to just jump in there. We had heard about it. One of my friends had told me, like, you need to try this. We're like, all right, we'll try it. We launched and it went really well. And we use Kickstarter now. This is going to get deep here. We use Kickstarter now as a lead acquisition mechanism and as a line of credit almost. So if you think business sense strictly, now, of course, here's the beautiful thing about it. Like, we don't have to go take on debt to do a first purchase order. What we can do is we can create a group of people that are excited about a product. We listen to our people. Like, this is so important. When we first present an idea, we present that idea and it changes so much after 30 days of running a campaign because we're constantly having conversations with all of our people that are coming on board, and they're saying, hey, what if you made this like this? And what if you did that? And so we get to get a new idea into the world. We get to get real world feedback
in real time.
Immediate.
Yeah.
Immediate. I can put a survey out and get instant answers, which is beautiful. The people get to jump on board and experience something that really is an adventure. I mean, they get to experience bringing something to life that the outside world doesn't know a whole lot about, where their products come from.
So you said it was lead. It's a
lead acquisition mechanism.
Lead acquisition.
And I say that, and then line of credit. So
okay,
I say that as a strictly, so don't hear me saying that I see my customers that way.
No.
But as a mechanism, we see it as a great way to get access to early adopters. You know, if you look at the bell curve of a customer, early adopters are right here. What's great about early adopters is they're really loud. Like, when they're on social media, if they like you, buddy, they're
brand ambassadors.
Telling everybody.
They love the brand.
Yes. And so that's built our company. Yeah. I mean, really and truly, we have been finding so much traction with that early adopter phase. And it's, so we get that, we get customers, we get money in the bank to then go, and instead of having interest on that money, we have a date and we have a fulfillment time, and our customer gets a great deal. Usually you're getting about 30% off of what we're going to sell it for retail value.
Okay. So let me, for those who may be listening, I want to make sure that because I may not understand it right.
There's so many things.
Well, I just want to start right here with, okay, so you go from conception, and real quick, real quick, the process that you're doing now, you just explained 30, 40 years ago, before the invention of the internet.
Oh, man.
People would make mistakes. They would create a product, do a small sampling, and they wouldn't find out mistakes or changes that need to be made till the third or fourth run.
The Ford Edsel.
Yeah, absolutely. And along with every other
many others.
Yeah. So, but anyway, you go from conception, so you got prototype, and I just want to make sure in my brain I got it right. You put it out there for public feedback. They start sending you feedback. You can adapt, adjust, edit.
Oh, yeah.
During that same period, though, and I'm going to call it a widget because I don't know your terminology. There's a widget out there that's going to eventually sell for 100.
Yep.
I can get it for 70.
You get it for 70.
Now, I may not know what the final product is going to look like,
Correct.
but I know I love this.
Yeah.
And eventually you keep putting back out there what the new revision is like. Exactly. And then let's say it ends tomorrow. Okay, I'm guaranteed my product in 6 months, a year, or whatever at that discounted rate. Am I on the right page?
Yeah, but you pay for it up front.
Yeah, you
put your money in, and then you get it, and you get it at that discount, and you're going to be the first to receive it.
Right.
So everybody else is going to have to come behind you in getting that first.
And
product.
they're probably going to pay. They're going to pay the.
They're going to pay
rate.
retail value.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I kind of understand it now. Because I've always wondered. The money goes in first.
Yep.
That's what gives you your overhead.
Gives
your
us the capital to work with. Exactly. Yeah. And so we use that relationship very, like it's very, I don't want to say sacred. It's a very important relationship. That relationship between our backers and us is how we literally have brought this business to be.
That's very cool. And how many products have you launched through Kickstarter?
We've done 6 now. 6 successfly, yeah.
And when's the last one you just did? Is it that product
the
on the
web?
The Hot Pocket.
The Hot Pocket was our last, and we did that in April.
We might as well. I mean, you're here on the podcast. Tell people what the Hot Pocket is. I mean, that's a cool product, man.
Yeah. So the Hot Pocket is a heated stuff sack that allows you to apply instant heat anywhere on your body when you're camping. You can take it even further and use it at a baseball game or a football game or hunting. But it basically holds your insulation for you. And then when you set up your insulation, you can unzip the Hot Pocket and lay it flat like a small portable electric blanket. And you turn it on and it just warms you up instantly.
And there's a couple different settings to where it can reserve battery.
Yeah, exactly.
But what's the typical battery life on one of those?
So we've got 2 battery options. And on low, you can get 6 hours with our smallest battery and then about 11 hours with our big battery.
Rechargeable?
Oh, yeah. Rechargeable. Actually, the biggest innovation in that product is the work we've done with the battery. So we've developed a USB-C PD battery that is just super high discharge.
A lot of letters there, man.
I know, right? It allows you, basically what it does, it's a high energy transfer. So up until recently, people relied on USB to get energy, and you can only produce 5 volts at about an amp. Okay, so 5 watts, right? Well, we need 36 watts to really give you heat inside of a sleeping bag. So we had to redevelop the battery, basically.
And I'm looking here online, though. Am I seeing things? Can you recharge your phone off this thing too?
Oh yeah, that's right.
You can recharge your phone.
It's got a little adapter on the outside that you can plug your phone in, and it'll start charging your phone. You can recharge the battery through solar. We launched a solar product.
I was getting ready to ask about that.
Yeah, we've got solar. If you go to power up there, you can see we've got a solar panel now, which we're really excited about it, actually.
Right here?
Yeah.
The power pack.
That's the power pack, and then the solar link. So this is new for the industry. Right now, the industry requires you to purchase a specific wattage. So you can purchase a 7-watt solar panel. You can purchase a 21-watt solar panel. But the same product cannot vary. Your 7-watt will never be able to do 21-watt. You've got to go buy a new product.
Gotcha.
What we've created is a magnetic connection that allows you to add wattage. So that's the base. Go to add solar links for more power.
I'm handing you the...
All right, let me drive.
Yeah, you drive, man.
Click on this, and let's say we want to add 2. So now I can buy these 2 separate panels, and total, I've got 21 watts of power.
And how big are these panels? I'm looking at what's the size?
These guys are about 8 inches by 10 inches.
So a little smaller than a notebook paper.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If you're going on a backpacking trip, you can just take this one.
Yeah.
Okay? That'll let you charge your phone. If you're going, let's say you're going on a weekend trip, you can take 2 of these because you can carry a little more weight.
So they just take in the solar?
Yep. And they amplify based on how many you have connected. And so you can vary how much you want to take. If you're going car camping, you can take a bunch of these guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Are they heavy?
No, they're super.
One thing I've learned with Dawson
light.
and you,
uber light.
Packing in is important.
These are like 4 ounces each.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dawson's going to be jealous. We talked about this.
I know. We're super proud of this. This is like.
Is this new? This
is brand new. This is brand new.
Is this a Kickstarter issue?
Here's what's cool. So we used Kickstarter to launch a new product.
Right.
All right. With that, this is where it's a lead acquisition tool. So with that, we gained about 5,000 new customers. Okay. 5,000 new customers, and we get those customers, I think, at a discounted rate because Kickstarter is bringing organic traffic. Okay. Now we've got this audience, and we're like, "Hey guys, what do you want next?" And they're like, "We want to charge our batteries with solar." We're like, "Sure, we'll make a solar panel."
Yeah.
And so then we go and we sell the solar. We create the solar panel. Literally, this was an idea. This is an idea that we created in about an afternoon, and we were like, "What do we want this solar panel to be?" We made a super mock-up. Like, these people are early adopters. They don't have to see a pristine product.
And they're early adopters because they've already know your work.
Exactly.
You have their faith.
We've built trust.
Yeah.
Exactly. Super important. And so we built that out. We took some good pictures of it. We told them what it is. Here's the concept. Here's what we want to build. And we put it in front of them. We sold like 2,000 of them.
Man, and when is this on still Kickstarter still?
This is not a Kickstarter. So this actually happened on our website. And so we used Kickstarter to get the customers, and then we asked them what we need to build next, and then we build 2 more products. So we built this, and we built a little light. If you go back to power, you'll see the light link.
Oh, dadgummit. There we go.
Yep, light link. So this is another new product that we launched after the Kickstarter, and it's just a LED light. It's just an LED light. Yeah, it's like a rope, LED rope. And you can actually link multiple ones together. So you can link 4 of them together and have your campsite lit up, and it's all being powered by your power pack that we've created.
Yeah, man, you're and again, the thing I love about this part of the story is you're not creating something and forcing it on to your consumer.
Exactly.
I don't know if this is going to work. I think I like the idea. I don't know if they do. You're giving them what they want.
Yeah, exactly. Ask them, man.
Cool, man.
So it's a fine line. Any entrepreneur that's listening, I want to make this distinction. If Henry Ford had asked his customer, "What do you want me to build?" they said, "What? Faster horses," right?
Yeah.
So you as the entrepreneur have to be the innovator. but you have to listen to the problems. What problems can I solve for you, Clint?
Right.
And then I have to listen. I have to say, okay, what does that translate? What does the market currently give that customer to solve that problem? Where are the gaps? That's where I'm going, and that's where I'm pushing hard.
But that's why I think we were talking earlier about the ego, because you can start getting feedback and that stubborn gene that's really beneficial. Go, that's not what I know what they need. It's this cool thing in my brain. And the consumers over going,
I don't get it. Cool. I don't care.
Yeah.
I've learned that lesson twice on Kickstarter, actually.
Have you really?
Yeah, we had 2 that just didn't do that great. I mean, they funded, they got what we needed, but the reality is they weren't a huge problem solver.
When you go on to Kickstarter, do you set minimum standard? I mean,
there's a minimum
quantity
funding level.
Is there?
Yeah.
And do you set that, or does Kickstarter set that?
We do. Yeah, we control that. Yeah.
Was that a tough thing to come up with?
Not really. Not now.
Okay.
In the beginning, if you're using Kickstarter like we are now, where we have a little cash in the bank, we're not a brand new business anymore. We've got a little bit of cushion. We set that at what we think, this is a reasonable representation. If we can earn this much money, we know that the market likes this idea.
Right.
But then we set an internal goal of like an internal goal for our team. This is what we should do. This is what we're going to try.
How many people you hire? How many people you're employing now?
We've got 8 full time now, and then we've got a couple of contractors in and out. So
do you have manufacturing? Is it local? Is it around the world, around the country?
Manufacturing is all in Asia.
Okay.
Yeah. All of our partners have hundreds and hundreds of employees. One of our things is, so in the beginning, manufacturing has always been a real big important thing. We focus on the people. Clean water, the way you treat your employees, super important. If you're not doing that right, we're not working with you. And so I go and I visit all of these factories and I see what is the boss like? Who is the boss, right? I'm making that relationship.
Because you're trying to make sure that it doesn't fit the stereotype that when you say out of the country, everybody's like, oh.
Yeah, for sure.
You're the 19-cent tennis shoe guy.
But the reality is that's just not true. Now, there are those factories for sure, but that's not how it is in this world.
Well, they get all the press. The bad places get
bad press.
No one's traveling to show you ever how great people are.
No, nobody wants to do that.
I can't share that on social media.
Honestly, I wish we could manufacture in the United States. I do. Well, because it's a pain for me to go spend 3 weeks in Asia.
There are people that may not hear this podcast. Feel free to share it with everybody, folks. I need to grow it.
Share it.
There are people that are listening to this, and that could be a reality. Yeah. There's people out there that are their passion's manufacturing.
Absolutely.
So the same way you feel about this, they're like, that guy's got a problem.
Yep.
I need to
solve
it.
Solve it. Reach out to me.
So let's kind of, and if I miss something, and this is what I'm about to bring up, say before I get to that, let me go back. Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So you go to Shark Tank, and just transparent as all can be, me and my daughter's couple of our favorite shows, other than every cooking show on planet Earth with her, she's 15, is The Prophet and the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And before you start down this road, I want to let you know that we watch the Shark Tank and totally know when people are going to bomb and fail. We totally go, oh, God, he doesn't know his numbers. He doesn't know his numbers. It's not that, or you come in with some line. So when you start talking about Shark Tank on the other podcast, I told my daughter I'd had that conversation, and she started asking me questions. Do you know his numbers? Yes, he knew his numbers. She's a 15-year-old.
Yeah, that's
so
good
tell
stuff.
me, did you like Shark Tank?
I did. But
it didn't. If I'm remembering this correctly, because it's been a few months, it didn't. You didn't go through the normal process to get on Shark Tank.
Correct.
What made that unique?
What made that unique was executive producer sent me an email and said, "Would you like to be on Shark Tank?"
And that's not normally you're asking to be on Shark Tank.
40,000 people apply to go on Shark Tank every year.
So why'd they call you?
You got me, man.
That's the worst answer ever.
Yeah, right.
He shook his head. I thought, God, I hope he says
good.
something.
I don't know what to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's shaking his head.
There's no reason for it. It's simply
fate, man.
There's some things that have just lined up, and that was one of them. And I'm super thankful that it did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you get the call, and here's the other part. Usually, if you get accepted, how long do you have before you get to?
Yeah, usually you got over a year.
How long did they give you?
Yeah, we had like 2 months.
Blessing and curse.
So we went from zero, like Julie and I just being like, oh, that'd be cool. Like
Julie's your wife, right?
Julie's my wife. She was helping me a lot at that time. That'd be cool. Like we should think about putting that on our roadmap, go get on Shark Tank. And then it went from that to like, hey, we need you to be in LA with your set in 2 months. I'm in Vietnam. Julie's pregnant with our twins and like getting out of the bit, like crazy time. And it was one of those things where I was just like, is this a good, like, should we do, like, this shows you doubt. Like, I doubted going on Shark Tank for a moment there.
Well, you think of all the stuff you could lose.
I was
first
like,
impressions.
great. This is, huge opportunity.
Hello, world.
Huge time to flop.
So you do it, though.
We did.
You nailed it.
We
so
did.
You get and one of the things that I found interesting when I was talking to you before is that I think one of the things that I think there's a catalyst that a conversation business owners could have or should have that they don't, and that's figuring out their story. And here's why: because from that story, I think you get who our target is. What problem are we solving? What is our message? How do we? So anyway, I think that conversation can lead to so many solutions.
Right.
And here you are, you've got 2 months. And when we were talking before, I know you know your story, but you have to really get articulate,
clear,
and clean and tight with this is who I am. And it's not a lot of wells, and it could be a little no. So was that process stressful,
so
fun?
Hard. I'm from Mississippi, and I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily good old boy status, but my reputation precedes me in a lot of ways for people that have known me for 5 years or more.
Right.
And the hard thing about Shark Tank is they don't give that doesn't matter.
They don't care.
Like, they don't get a chance to see your reputation. It doesn't matter how hard, like, they don't know any of that.
Everybody coming in front of them.
Yeah. You have to use your words. Yeah. And so it was hard to get from, wow, how do I sum up, 10 years of hard work that proves that I'm a good investment into 10 minutes of conversation?
Is it hard not to get too fast? You know what I'm saying? I would think it would be tough.
I think for me, my challenge was I tend to live in the details. I get in the details too fast. And so when I get in the details and I start talking, people lose interest quick. And so you got to stay big picture, you got to stay top level, and you got to let them do the talking back.
Well, they're smart enough to ask for the details when they want them.
Yeah, exactly.
If they don't like your story,
I need
they
you
don't
to
care
expand
about
on
the
that.
details.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was
about your profit margin.
That was my big, like, I knew that going in, and so I worked on that.
Did you design your own set?
We did. Yeah. Designed and built. How many people?
Yeah. How many people?
Yes.
Oh, so you didn't like it? We'll go get some friends and say, hey, guys, I need. Oh, good gosh.
Well, let's be clear. So design. My dad did come over and he helped me do some priming. My wife's sister helped me do some staining. Like, there was definitely some pitching in. But as far as the design goes, I had to figure that out. We built the bulk of it. We had some good finishing from family.
Did you get pushback from the Sharks about the quick starter?
Kickstarter?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kickstart. Quick start. I'm thinking of how to start my fire when I get my the little bricks you put in there.
Kickstarter is interesting. A lot of people don't understand the advantages of Kickstarter. And I don't think at that point, we didn't get a huge negative pushback, but we definitely didn't get like arms wide open, good idea. It was like, oh, some of your revenues from Kickstarter. I understand. That kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like that revenue doesn't count. And so, knowing what I know now, I'm able to articulate that business model a whole lot better now.
Yeah, you're
versus
kind of,
then I was like, what am I doing? Like, I know I make money and I know I can put this in front of people, but
here's my bank statement, sir.
Yeah, guys. Yeah.
So when on the TV version, they have you standing behind this big door that opens,
right?
And you walk through. I know TV's edited to the nth degree. How long do you actually have in front of the Sharks? Is it 10 minutes?
We had about an hour.
Oh, wow.
Wait. Are you talking about while you're behind the door or when you're in the Sharks?
When you're in the Sharks.
Yeah. So we had about an hour of discussion, and they broke all that down to like 12 minutes.
Wow.
Which is crazy, right? Yeah.
Were you there with other people at the same time? Did you see other ones going in and out?
We were first, which was great.
Yes.
It worked out really nice. We were first day of filming. We were first pitch. Our set was very exceptional in the size of it because we had to have 2 of our products up. And that was hard. And so they were like, look, we're just going to set you up. You're going to be the first, and then we'll break it down, and we can move from there. So,
did you share your story of how it started? We were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So real quick, give me the feedback from the Sharks. How did that quick thing go? Because people listening to this may go Google it.
Let's go watch it. Go watch it. You'll see me just like, the emotion is definitely hyped on TV for sure. But there was a moment where I was like, holy crap, I've totally tanked this whole thing.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Was it a numbers thing?
No, it wasn't a numbers thing. It was more of market size. Like I think the challenge that I was having communicating was because they saw it as a hammock company instead of an adventure brand. And so like making that connection was difficult, and seeing how big this could get. Like, well, what is the size of the hammock market, Richard? Well, it's about $50 million. So like, well, you can't grow into a $100 million company if you've got a $50 million market size. Yeah, absolutely. But we're not a hammock company. Like, we're an adventure brand. Like, we're going to build this, this, and this, and then we're going here. And so it, yeah,
That's cool.
There's no background to see, oh, he really can build it. He's not just a talker, right? Yeah. And so he's just a talker.
Because you got hammocks.
You got hammocks. I'm looking at hammocks right here, Richard.
Oh, I see your dream. Oh, no, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
All I have are hammocks.
All I have right here is hammocks. Exactly. And people have sold people on less. Like, if you're a good salesman, you can do that. And so I think that was my challenge in learning the sales process of that investment sparring match.
Did that make you a better salesperson leaving that?
I think
process?
So. That process was huge for me and my wife.
Do you consider yourself a salesperson?
I don't. I'm learning it, though. I want to become more salesy.
Because I'll be honest, salesy. You just insulted me. I'm totally, a salesperson.
Right? Yeah. I think it has a negative connotation, and it shouldn't.
I do sales consulting for 25 years and done sales management, and I'll be honest with you. I say this, I do another radio show called Marketing Mix Radio. Mm-hmm. The local president of our baseball team, the Chattanooga Lookouts, he and I do it every week. Sweet. And I say this to people, have you ever been on a date? You're a salesperson.
Yeah,
you ever
exactly.
got a raise? You ever got a job?
Absolutely. Everybody's selling, man. They just don't know how to do it.
And if you've ever done it, you've at least had some success.
Oh, yeah.
So now
exactly.
let's figure how to do it on a consistent basis.
What's the system? What's the process?
So tell me how the Sharks, which one kind of said yes to you? Did you marry up with one of them?
Oh, well, there was no kinda. Richard Branson was quiet the entire time, okay? First of all, Richard Branson was a guest shark. We didn't know he was going to be there until we were like literally going out on set.
There's a bunch of fate here, man.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We knew it was a possibility, but Sarah Blakely was also a possibility, and Alex Rodriguez was also a possibility. So we didn't know which of the three it was going to be. So we get there, we're like, oh, yes, it's Richard Branson. Like, this is good. Because he lines up, man. And so he's the only, he literally didn't say hardly anything until the end. Everybody was out, and he said, Richard and Julie, I'm going to give you exactly what you want. I can't wait to be your partner. Like, that was it. Calm. Like kind of quiet, and just really chill, like real British, right? I mean, just real British. And we were like, "Wait, what?" And they actually made him reshoot it. They actually made him. Can you do that whole thing again? Because like we need a little more emotion. And
it was a little anticlimactic.
He was just super chill. He's like, "Look, man,
has it been cool to work with?
I love what you got. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing. I love you guys. I'm going to give you exactly what you wanted. Let's do this."
Since then,
he's been great. So let's be clear. The biggest shark is Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
$2 billion, I think, gross net worth. I'm sorry, net worth. A lot of companies in his fold, but he's a third of Richard when it comes to net worth, and like a 12th compared to how many businesses Richard owns. Richard is major shareholder in like 450 businesses.
Right.
Putting people in space, right? Virgin Galactic, Virgin Airlines, Virgin Crew, like. So let's put that in context, right? We're his third smallest investment he's ever made,
right?
As a company. Now I'm sure there's some personal investments out there that are smaller, but his team is phenomenal. I've met with him a couple of times now. He's great, down to earth. He's just super busy, got a lot going on.
Yeah,
his team's great. We meet regularly. And they're good.
Hey, folks, don't forget, this episode is also brought to you by Team Monteith with Keller Williams. Find ChattanoogaRealEstate.com. Okay, before we move on, and I appreciate your time, by the way. You got a couple more minutes with me.
Love it, man. Let's do it.
How does that deal work? In other words, and I don't know the details of it, but I'm just going to throw a number out. So let's say Clint Powell's a shark, and I give you $100,000 for 5% of the company, whatever we say. So we move past there. I'm sure there's contracts to sign. There's got to be some due diligence. I'm assuming it's not like I leave with $100,000 cash in a bag, And hey, I'll see you next week, buddy.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sure that's a process.
It's very much a process. It's a 3-month process.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Lots of due diligence. In fact, most of the time on Shark Tank, the deal doesn't get done. The deal doesn't get done until after your show airs. And usually you film your show 3 to 4 months ahead of time.
Okay.
And so most people don't have a deal until potentially after the show is aired.
Is it one of those relationships where you can go to him with say, look, and I guess I'm asking, does his investment ever grow? Does it always stay the same percentage? Does he get a percentage of just that product at the time? Is it of the total company? How does that look?
Yeah.
And if yours is unique, you don't have to share that. I just don't know how it works.
Most of the time on Shark Tank, they're working with individual products.
Right.
Because of the company size, right? Ours was a little unique, and then we had a couple of different products. And so he got a portion of the whole company.
Okay.
Now, he, fortunately, this goes to what kind of a person he is. They did not go tooth and nail with us on a anti-dilution clause.
Excuse me, a what?
Anti-dilution clause.
Okay.
What that would do is if you have a dilution clause, it would basically say, I'm going to maintain 15% of your company regardless of any other future investments. And so what that means is if he owns 15%, if I go take another investment and I give them 15%, all of that 15% comes from me and he doesn't have to give any of it. Okay. That's an anti-dilution. Now, fortunately, we did not have that clause.
Gotcha.
And that was one of the things that I was like super keen on making sure of. If we take on new investment, both of our investments will equally give up equity. Which super guy, right? He could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
Most sharks do go the other way. So great guy from that standpoint. So the way it works is for us, if we do a Series A round or we do, let's say, a local funding round or something like that, then we would basically add shares to the company's ledger. And then that capital would be invested into the company. And then our shares, my shares and his shares would be diluted to some degree. You know, dilution in the sense of percentage, but the company's raising. The value's rising.
The value's raising.
So, you know, it's part of it.
But that's that business side of it you kind of like. It's putting that symphony you were talking about.
How do you make this work? Exactly.
Yeah, and there's how many times have you had to look up what words mean? Now, you're a smart guy.
All the time, man. No, all the time.
I'm a decently smart
I don't have an MBA.
And I was about to look up delusion clause.
Yeah. No.
I was just saying yes like I knew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great. What the hell is the anti-delusion clause?
Right.
I got to figure that one out.
Actually, so when we started that, I started reading. I mean, you know, as an entrepreneur, you need to go and you need to read. There's going to be times when you really and truly have no idea and you're launching new problems into your realm of intelligence and you got to go learn, man. It's part of being humble and just like ask questions.
Running into each other, they're banging. Well, and you've got to have, go back to that team. You got to have a team around you that's, hey, you know, that kind of knows.
They can start picking up
attorneys and somebody that can sit back and go,
exactly.
Don't sign that. What are you doing? Get your finger off that button. Don't push that.
I had two really good friends that were able to look over that contract. I had a good lawyer that I found through them. And so, yeah, you got to leverage every relationship you've got to try and make sense of the unknown.
You go back, man, to where you started and just love of outdoors, love of helping people, right?
Yep.
So, how long ago was that trip? What year was that again?
Actually, 21 was when I made my first trip to Alaska. And
so, how long ago was that?
Oh, good gosh. I don't know when I was 21.
Come on, man. I got to do some math. You're an engineer, for the love of God.
Right? 2007?
Well, you go back to that, and you went to Alaska. I didn't know you went to Alaska.
Yeah, my dad took me to Alaska when I was 21. And so that was a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
Like just getting to experience that was a big deal. And
Beautiful?
that spurned, just beauty. Just real natural beauty. And so I'd been in the Rockies, but man, when you're in Alaska, it's overwhelming. It's just all encompassing. And so that spurned my love for the outdoors. And then this trip to Honduras was kind of the pushing point of real problems that need to be solved.
So you go, and that's where I was going. That you go back to those moments, Alaska, Honduras, and so you're combining. I'm solving problems. I'm helping people. I'm in the great outdoors. I'm doing these things. Right. And I've heard people describe it. The weight of nature. When you get out in nature, there's this heaviness on you. You're like, man, this is so much bigger than me.
Exactly.
And now you've spent the last 12 years, 10 years, whatever it is, and now you're in this business cycle, and you're getting to do something that's for the great outdoors.
Sure.
Do you still get to go to the great outdoors?
Good question. Good question. There are times when you don't. I mean,
you miss it?
I do. When we hire, and for a while we had to say this every time, when we hire somebody on, we're like, you're going to spend a lot of time in the office, right? Like, we're not outside just playing around all day. Like, we're
not the website.
We're not what we look like.
Yeah.
Here's the great thing about it. As I develop as a leader, I'm learning how to pass off hats. Right. I'm learning how to let other people do parts of the business. They can do it way better than I can. Get that into them so I can be strategic so that I can get back into the outdoors. Because that's our advantage. Because we live and breathe it, man. Like really and truly, everybody in our company loves the outdoors.
Do you feel like if you don't do that or find a way to be more strategic, you'll lose that connection?
I will. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what I hate to say this, but just knowing you for the short time I have, I think that's actually where the energy comes from.
Yeah.
I think you've got the engineer brain. You've got, of course, the acumen to be a businessman.
Yeah.
But I think, you got to get back to where the energy is. Sure. And I don't mean that just for you. That's in general.
Everybody.
If you're a business person, you love widgets, then go spend time wherever widgets are made.
That's the only way you can figure out the problems you need to solve.
Yeah.
It's really and truly the only way you can figure it out.
Have you tested these new products?
Oh, absolutely. So we get out some. Julie and I have actually found that paddleboarding is our sport now.
Really? Okay.
It was mountain biking for me for a while, and then it was rock climbing and mountaineering, and now because we got 3 young kids, paddleboarding is like the sweet spot. Julie and I both love it. All of the kids love it. We just stick them on the board, and we'll go down the river, and it's a great time.
That's cool.
So we're getting outside every weekend. We'll go do that.
How tempted are you to start doing stuff for paddleboarding now, to start creating?
Yeah,
smiling,
I mean,
boys
we
and
will
girls.
eventually.
Yeah?
It's every sport will be touched.
That's awesome.
Eventually. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so let's and you feel free to give me, jump in with any stories before we wrap this up. The giving back part.
Yeah.
This has been a cool journey, and I know we've condensed years, over a decade of passion and vision into like 58 minutes.
Right.
But the part that I found unique, and I think probably some of the Sharks did, and maybe Richard Branson did.
He did.
Yeah, it's that I want to be successful, and I want to live my dream, all these things. But at the end of the day, there's that problem. Go all the way back to the drinking water in Honduras. Exactly. So what are you doing? How do you help?
Yeah, exactly. Let me before I say how we help, that gives our company heart. And so when people come on board with a company and you tell them, we got 2 big, hairy, audacious goals. One of them I'm not going to tell you guys. The second one is
sucks.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm
the
hurt.
Second one is completely eradicate the need for clean drinking water on the entire face of the earth. Okay, that's our goal. And so when you want to do something that outrageous, which it is, it's outrageous. It gives people the vision of what you're in it for. And it helps them to see, like, this is going to be my impact. I'm making a difference. I'm gonna be able to change people's lives with this.
Right.
That's if all it is, and everybody says this, but it's so true. If all it is turning a paycheck, it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to scale it outside of yourself as much as you can when you're having impact.
Well, your life becomes a commodity then.
Right.
Your life essence is a commodity.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you doing? What does that mean? Yeah. How do you
so
fix
what do we
this?
do? So
Mr. Engineer.
Right, exactly. So what we're doing right now, we have a system called the One Campaign. And the One Campaign means that for every one product that we sell, one person in Central America gets 1 year of clean drinking water. And so it's when you buy a product, we call that a water credit. And that water credit goes into a pool, and we're building water credits every sale. And then we take that money and we go drill a clean water well. And that clean water well will then provide water on average for about 200 people for 20 years. Okay. And the goal is then we go down, we drill the clean water well. And that then is that little ecosystem's sustaining point that now literally, this is what the farmer told me that on our last well, my son can now go get an education because 6 hours of his day was spent going and getting water and cleaning it for the whole family. 6 hours every single day, not making money, not solving other people's problems, not educating himself. He's just getting water.
And sometimes I think we, especially in America, we just think that we poo-poo that. Oh, whatever. But that kid was born with gifts and skills and dreams.
Is absolutely gifted.
Just like I am, you are, somebody else is. It's not like God didn't give him stuff to do.
Exactly. We're
So that's
all
a cool
standing on the
thing.
back of giants, man.
Absolutely.
And so we get to stand on the fact that we got internet, clean water, power. Holy crap, we are blessed.
Yeah.
By far. And so now we need to go and bless others that cannot, literally, the government and the people around them, they cannot get out of this slump.
Well,
They cannot.
when are they supposed to?
They have tried.
Yeah.
And this,
Who digs your wells? If you don't mind me asking, do you work with a company?
yes. So we partner with a company called Living Water International, and they're a company out of Houston, Texas. They go back to about 2001, I believe, is when they were founded. They're literally a bunch of oil money got together and said, we want to do something impactful. We want to change the world. These guys are all Christians, actually. And so their mission is to not only give clean water, but to holistically change how the developing world is maturing as an ecosystem.
That's cool.
So not just water, but like health, sanitation, education. Like, what are the building blocks that these guys need? Let's give them the tools so that they can start doing
But
it.
think of what water touches, man. What they drink, what you can eat, how you bathe,
100%.
all those different things.
100%.
All right, man. Let's put a bow on this. What's next? What do you got coming up? Is there something coming up on Kickstarter people can kind of get out about? Or is
Yeah.
that one of those?
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you about your stupid, hairy, audacious goal you want to share with me. But let's talk about the Kickstarter thing. You got something coming up?
Kickstarters, we got another one coming up. Our goal is to launch 2 this year and 2 next year. And so our second one will be coming up in the fall.
So we're in July 2019.
Yeah.
So it's coming up sometime this fall 2019.
Let's say October of 2019.
How long does a Kickstarter last to? Will it be?
You can go from literally a day to 60 days.
Okay.
So you have pretty big flexibility.
Well, if you're listening to this, I'm giving it. There's somebody's listening to this end of October.
This one's going to be about 56 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
It's going to last longer because it's a new product and we've got some new things that we want to do. And it's just, we're ever learning.
Come on back when you launch it.
Yeah.
We'll launch
We need
the
to take a look
podcast,
at it
dude.
and
We'll-
see how we are doing on it.
That's cool, man. I could only because we've got I have this new studio. We rent it out. I own the studio, so we rent the studio out, and I got a client coming in, and I hate to rush stuff, but
No,
I could talk.
It's fun, man. I enjoy it. I
Yes.
appreciate you having me on
This
for
is
sure.
killer,
It's
dude.
been
I
good.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And just real quick, the website SierraMadreResearch.com.
Yeah. You can find us at SierraMadreResearch.com. You can find us at SierraMadre.camp if that's easier to remember.
Thank you, dude.
Absolutely.
That's killer,
Hey, thanks
man.
for having me on the show,
Yep,
man. Really
no
appreciate
problem.
it.
Share this, rate it, review it, all those cool things. Talk to you later. And go play outside.
Absolutely.
Go get out of the house. Thanks for listening to During the Break. If you like this episode, share it with your friends. If you have a few minutes, please rate and review the podcast on iTunes to help us reach a larger audience. Also, like our Facebook page and check out our website, duringthebreakpodcast.com. If I haven't asked too much already, join us again next time on During the Break.